Hello everyone, welcome to another video of my channel Legal Talks with Mona. In my last video, I talked about legal research and what are the skills or what are the things that you need to keep in mind while writing a research paper. However, my today's video would solely be on the skill of contract drafting and what are the things that you need to keep in mind while drafting a contract. Now, I wanted to make this video about legal drafting as well, but since the topics, both of those topics are very wide and there are so many things to cover, because of which I decided to make today's video solely on contract drafting. And if my video is useful to all of you, you would let me know. I would make another video on legal drafting as well. Now, today, before I begin, I would like to talk about a few things about contract in general, or contract, the basic concept of a contract. Now, the term contract is known to everyone more or less. Even to the first year law students, the term contract is known. Which section of Contract Act defines contract? Do let me know in this section. And basically, term contract is nothing but an agreement which is legally enforceable. What are the requirements of a contract that we have to know? That what are the things that form a contract? Is it only the parties or there are other things as well? So of course, the parties, the essential component of a contract. Both parties have to be there, or there can be more than two parties as well. It can be tripartite contract as well. But along with that, there has to be a will or intention to create a contract or to form a contract on the part of both the parties. Along with that, there has to be one consensus of mind which is needed in order to reach to an amicable settlement. Because why we form a contract? We form a contract because we have to put forth our own interest, our own needs, whatever we are willing to incorporate. We do that in the contract for our own interest. So as a legal professional, you will be drafting contracts for your client and you have to take care of his interest or what will be best for him. You have to conduct a due diligence. Due diligence will be required while drafting a contract. So due diligence is nothing but conducting a research or analyzing the potential risk or liabilities which will hamper or which will be prejudicial to your client. You will not do that. You will not incorporate that. You will always have to take care of your client's interest, because of which this due diligence thing will be needed. Now, while drafting a contract, there has to be a consideration as well. There has to be a proper subject matter of the contract, why you are drafting the contract, because there are so many types of contract. When you will draft a contract, you would see that there are so many types of contract. However, there is a misconception among the people that the contract drafting skill is only required in the corporate sector, but it's wrong. It's completely wrong. Even if you go for litigation, the skill will be required even there as well. Although I know that in this corporate sectors, the drafting skill or the contract drafting skill itself is much more required than litigation, but you cannot just disregard the fact that contract is everywhere. When you are boarding a metro, when you are boarding a bus, you are buying a ticket, you are entering into a contract. It's not maybe an express contract, but it's an implied contract. So contract is everywhere. You cannot just disregard the fact. Now, next thing, as I was saying, that there are so many types of contracts, be it real estate contract, be it commercial contract, be it corporate contracts, be it banking contracts and agreements, be it contracts related to the media law, IT law. So many contracts are there. How will it be possible for you to remember all the clauses? Suppose you have chosen a field, or maybe you have been given a contract related to media law, which is not even your area of interest. Or you have been given a contract to draft a contract on banking sector, which is also maybe not your area of interest. So how will it be possible? Will you just let go of it? Of course not. You need to conduct a research. This research skill is required in every sphere wherever you go. Law is all about research. And even drafting a contract during that period as well, you are required to conduct a research. You are required to find the precedents. Statutory precedents would be there, as well as you have to conduct research that what are the formats available already on that. Do not copy paste. Of course, again I am telling you, do not copy paste or do not use AI. Make it very personalized for your client. you can just take help of the clauses that are there. While going through the format, you can just see the clauses that are there. Now the things that will be incorporated in the clauses, it will be as per your client's interest. You cannot just take help of AI to generate that. Next, you would make the contract very concise, precise, and do not use heavy words, because contract itself has to be very much comprehensible and understandable to the layman as well. A layman, while reading it, he or she has to be able to understand that, oh, this is it. This is the thing that I have told my lawyer to draft. He has drafted it properly. If you are using so many legalese or legal words, he wouldn't be able to understand. So make it very precise, concise, and easy to understand. Apart from that, there are a few technicalities that you need to take care of. So contract drafting has 3 phases. Number 1, pre-contractual phase. In this pre-contractual phase, you are required to draft certain pre-contractual agreements like MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, term sheet or letter of intent, or NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Now these are the pre-contractual agreements and these are not legally binding. Why? Because these pre-contractual agreements are all about putting forth your interest and giving you an ample amount of time to decide whether you should enter into a contract or not. So these are required, these you need to know how to draft, then only you can move on to a contract. Next come the execution phase, where you would execute the contract, and next come the post-execution phase or the award phase. So while drafting a contract, you have to know that what are the clauses which have to be incorporated, and you have to prepare a checklist for that. You would be able to see when you search for the formats of contract on the internet. Suppose I am drafting a shareholders agreement, or let's say I am drafting a power purchase agreement. You can just go on the internet and you can search for it. You would find ample amount of drafts formats that are there. Open a draft, go through it. Maybe it will be a bit difficult in the first place because you are not accustomed to these things. You have never seen a contract. You don't know what are the things, what are the clauses. Go through this. Go through again and again and again. After a few days, you would be able to understand what exactly each clause means or what significance each clause carries. Make a note of it. Whatever contract that you have been given to draft, make a note of it. Prepare a checklist. Now, when you have been given the work to draft a contract, make sure that you incorporate all the clauses that you have added in the checklist and put a tick mark on it that I have added the name, I have added the representation clause, I have added the warranties clause, I have added the jurisdiction clause, dispute resolution clause, everything that is there. Do not make the mistake of reading your contract once you have drafted it. You need to read the contract, you need to go through the contract that you yourself have drafted again and again and again. You need to find out the mistakes that are there and how you can improve it. Because drafting is something which is like a rough work. Draft itself means a rough work. So do not submit your first draft. Make sure that you have completed your first draft having adequate amount of time in your hand, and again next morning you wake up, go through the first draft again just to see that what are the things that you have missed or what are the things that you have not incorporated as per your client's interest. That's how the contract will be the best contract. Now these are a few tips that you can remember. However, what will make you a perfect legal professional is something that you need to do is the practice. Practice makes a man and a woman perfect. We all know that. Same goes for contract. So drafting skill can only be mastered, or the entire skill itself can be polished only if you are practicing it regularly, only if you are in touch with these things. Even if you are a law student, you are aspiring to be a corporate lawyer, make sure that you go through different types of contracts that are there and you practice it on your own, giving yourself an imaginary scenario, or there are so many imaginary scenarios that you would find on the internet. Draft it on your own. The more you would practice, the more you would be able to understand the intricacies of drafting. Another thing that you are required to remember while drafting a contract is do not make it unnecessarily long, because the contract has to be very much precise, as I already have said, and there has to be a chronological sequence. There has to be a logical flow of the contract, that one sentence should flow from the other, and it should be very much comprehensible to the people reading it. And there has to be a consistency in the language as well. You cannot just change the terms, whatever definitions that you have been using since the beginning. You have to be consistent on that. There would be a definition section in the contract as well, where you will be defining all the things or legal jargons that are there in the contract, as well as the last thing that you will be doing after you have already drafted the contract is the proofreading. As I already have said, that you are required to go through the contract that you have drafted again and again. Proofreading is the key. You just underline the things that are not required to be there, that are unnecessary, omit that, delete that, do not go on with that. However, as I already have mentioned, that you need to practice. It takes a lot of time, to be very honest, but not enough time, because when you are in law school, you can just start practicing now, and you can just have a brief understanding of every sort of contract that is there. Just read the formats. If you are really interested in contract drafting, it would be very much interesting to you to read different contracts. So go through that and make sure that you jot down the important or key elements that you are finding. However, how you can go on with the clauses, what are the clauses that you need to incorporate in every contract, or the common clauses, what are there, I will be discussing about those in my next video. So let me know in the comment section or DM me whether you want me to make another video on contract drafting or legal drafting or not. I will proceed with that in my next video. Till then, stay safe, stay tuned, and I will be adding a few links in my description which will be helpful to you. And do not forget to hit the subscribe button and bell icon. See you all very soon.